Christian men struggle with expressing their emotions. Did we talk about Jesus at the Garden of Gethsemane? So, Jesus, this is what I think about all the time. This popped in my head during the pandemic.
Okay.
I was reading Jesus when he was at the Garden of Gethsemane, and I said, wait a second, what did he just do? He did five things. The first thing he did was he took some of his disciples up to the garden with him and he shared with them what was going on. The ultimate man was telling other men in his inner circle that I'm overwhelmed, I'm distressed to the point of sorrow. Like he's messed up. He's telling other men that super vulnerable. And then he tells them what he needs. Stay here and pray for me. So he shares with others. And then the next thing he did was he went further in the garden, at which point he falls on his knees and then he prays to God. Take this cup from me, not my will, but yours be done. Like, I don't want to do this. I'm really messed up. And then God sends angels, comforts him, and all that stuff. And then he rises back up. That's the third thing. And then he returns to the disciples. They've fallen asleep. He corrects them and he says, the spirit's willing, but the body is weak. If I'm putting myself in those disciples' shoes, it would be distressing for me to hear the ultimate man saying, I'm distressed, I'm overwhelmed. And sometimes when people are overwhelmed and distressed, they just fall asleep. Again, I don't know if that's exactly what happened, but that makes sense to me. And
That's what I
for
do.
Jesus,
I take naps.
yes, I got sleep. And then from Jesus' perspective, but he didn't let it stop him. He then repeated that process of sharing and praying 3 times. And after the 3rd time, he rose back up. And that's when he's like, rise up, my betrayer is at hand. And then he goes forward to his death, burial, and ultimately the major rise up when he's resurrected from the dead. And in that, so what he did was he shared, prayed, he rose up, he repeated that process, and then but it always ended with him rising back up. And I believe what he did was he gave us the perfect model for how to navigate and deal with overwhelming feelings. Because he's the ultimate man, he did that. One of my military friends said, in the military, you don't ever, if you're in leadership, you don't ever tell the people under you that you're overwhelmed or distressed because it'll mess them up. And you got to have them have their be able to complete the mission. I was like, man, that's interesting. That's the exact opposite of what Jesus did. He exposed them to his feelings, told him what he needed, but he always rose back up. And therefore, he modeled how to navigate overwhelming and distressing feelings. And later, I believe that empowered the disciples as they then went forward. And also believe for me and for anyone listening, if you can relate to that, that it is a incredibly encouraging message that it's okay to confront and express your emotions and to share it with other people and to pray and to rise back up. And whenever that stuff comes on you again, just keep repeating that process, but always rising back up. And as you do that, you just keep it. I view it like when Jesus rose back up, he rose up that 3rd time with a fortified and grounded perspective of what he was going towards. So God has prepared good works for all of us to do. And as we're getting hijacked by our emotions, you express them, share, pray, but you rise back up and then walk confidently in whatever it is the Lord has in front of you to do. And then you just repeat. But I think in the Christian world, sometimes we have a tendency to be like, emotions bad, emotions bad. But man, Jesus was very expressive. And that's a beyond raw display of emotions. But I think that is not necessarily paid attention to enough.